tell Netgear to turn on guest Wi-Fi.
I will enable the guest network Netgear guest and send the network credentials to the Alexa app. Do you want to proceed?
Yes. And let's see how it does at this distance. There you go, 1 bar, and performance is pretty good. And if I now point out just to show I'm still around the same location right at the back. So approximately 90 to 100 feet, I guess, away from the router. Hi guys, today we're unboxing and setting up a Wi-Fi router. So this particular one's from Netgear and this is the Nighthawk AX12. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. So let's take a quick look around the packaging. It comes in a large box, picture of the router here. Maximum network capacity for Wi-Fi devices, 5 gigabits per second, Ethernet port for faster wired connectivity. Looking at the side here, 4 times better performance than an AC router, more Wi-Fi for more devices, up to 8 simultaneous Wi-Fi streams, maximized range, so it says it actually has 8 antennas built into it to give coverage indoors and out. AX optimized powerful processor, 64-bit 2.2 gigahertz quad-core processor, multi-gig Ethernet port. Smart Connect intelligently selects the fastest Wi-Fi band for every device, one Wi-Fi name for the entire home. Nighthawk app, easy set up your router and get more out of your Wi-Fi. AX Wi-Fi supports all current Wi-Fi devices and voice controlled by Amazon, Alexa and Google Assistants. That should be an interesting one to try out. Coming around the other side just shows the package content and the technical specification here. Security details over here and system requirements. Coming around the back here shows a rear view of the router and an interesting point to highlight: link aggregation, ability to aggregate 2 gigabit LAN ports for faster file transfers. Not seen that available on other routers, so it should be an interesting one to test out as well. So let's open it up and see what you get in the packaging. Okay, so you know the routine, I've laid out everything you get in the packaging, so let me quickly go through the items one by one. In terms of documentation, you get all this with there, so details on updating the firmware, safety and software update information together with a quick start guide which is multi-language. You get an Ethernet cable, flat cable style to this, 1.8 meters in length and build quality is good on this. You get a power adapter. The output is 19 volts, 3.16 amps, and it's a big chunky adapter here. Cable length on this is 1.6 meters. Build quality of the cable seems okay, and it's a DC connector on there. You get 2 adapters with this, and one's for EU, the other one's for UK, and it's just a matter of taking it and slotting it into position. There you go. And if you wanted to take it out again, press the button and pull it up. Would have been nice if the power adapter was smaller. I think this is just nuts, having it this big and hanging off a plug like this. And finally, the Wi-Fi router. So quite a large size to this. So in terms of dimensions, just to give you an idea, 22 centimeters, 29 centimeters across there, 24.5 at the bottom there, and wingspan. So this is a bit of a futuristic effect to it. Looks like a spaceship, you could say. And the wingspan coming down there, we're talking 17 centimeters. So pretty large. And you can see the plastic protecting it. So let's peel that off. So there we have it, opened up, and you can see there Nighthawk. You can see a fan over here and a grill for ventilation purposes. 2 buttons over here. Coming around the side, if you wanted to close the side bits up, you'd have to lift it up. You can see 4 wires exposed there. So that's 4 for the aerial on this side and 4 on the other side, so 8 aerials in total. And just to show, it slots into place. If you push like that, it's a little bit flimsy. Not something you'd really be touching often. Same on the other side. Coming around the back, you can see some vents on here, 2 holes for wall mounting and 4 rubber pads on there. Coming in close, you can see some of the details on there. Looking at the back, you've got an on-off button for the LEDs, so that's quite nice. If you didn't want it flashing away, you can turn them off. Then you've got 4 ports, only 2 can be aggregated together to get a combined port. Internet port here, and this is where you plug in a cable going from your existing internet router, plug it in there. Then you've got a multi-gig port here, reset point, 2 USB ports and power button and DC connection port. General build quality is fine, strong plastic all the way around. Just keep in mind the flaps at the side. I think in terms of looks, it looks pretty cool. Futuristic UFO sort of style to it. Let's make a start at setting up this device. So I've got the DC power connected and the internet connections going to my existing router. Now coming over to my mobile, if I click on the Play Store, the app we're after, if I search for Netgear, is Netgear Nighthawk. So I've already got that installed. If I click open, agree to the terms and conditions, needs access to location services, so we'll allow that. Allow only while using the app. Log in or create a Netgear account to get started. Let's click get started. And now let me set up my account in the background. I've entered in my credentials. Let me click login. Two-step verification. Never ask me again. You can set that up if you want, but I don't need it for now. Asking me if I want to save my password to Google Smart Lock. I'll say never to that for now. Touch ID, maybe later with that. Do you want to install a new Netgear product? Yes to that. Get started. Wi-Fi router. Next we need to scan in the QR code that was on the plastic just over here. So let me do that now. Allow access to the camera. Unplug your internet modem. Remove and insert any backup batteries. Plug your modem back in and wait for it to power on. Next to that, next is saying connect the cable from your router to the Nighthawk. I've already done that, so next to that. And let's power on the device. There you go, it's successfully connected. Personalize your settings. Let's personalize your network settings next to that. So this is the SSID of the router and the password for it. Just click next to that. Next, it's asking me to update the admin password on the device. So let me enter in a new password. Next to that, Touch ID, I'll say maybe later. Security questions. Next to this, firmware update required. So let's update that now. Update successful, next to that. It's connecting to the router now. Says it's up and running, let's click next. Extended warranty and support, I'll click maybe later. And there we have it, up and running. So let me briefly show you around the options on here. So you can see internet online, then you've got device manager. You can see the device is connected to this. So if I click got it, thanks. There you can see my phone connected on there, coming back from there, security, and there we have it. So you can see here, Armor expires on the 23rd of September. And it's a paid for service. If I click on there, you can see the cost of it here. So it seems to be a yearly subscription and it's $44.99. Coming back, internet speed, if I click on that, we can do a test. Speed test has completed and the download speed is 74 meg and the upload is 19 meg. So this is the speed I'm getting directly from my service provider and I'm pretty close to the router anyway. So no surprise there in terms of performance. Clicking on history, you can see a history of the speed tests that have been run. Back from here, Wi-Fi analytics, let's click on that. Scanning time, 1 second, and it's showing the signal strength on here. So it's going to be good. I'm literally right next to it. Coming across there, you can do a test in different locations. See the other Wi-Fi networks nearby. Coming across there, channel interference, so it's showing which is the best channel for this. Channel graph, it shows the different Wi-Fi channels. Coming across again, signal graph there, and that's it. So back from here, Wi-Fi settings, if I come in there, got Smart Connect, and here you can see the two bands available. Both are under the same name, so 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz, and coming in each one, you can actually rename it. So if you wanted distinct names for the different bands, you could do that. If you didn't do that, then it will just try to connect to the closest one or the one that's stronger. So coming back from there, and if I turn on Smart Connect, then you won't have those options to rename these. So now coming back from here, guest Wi-Fi, so you can turn on a guest Wi-Fi as well. At the moment it's not enabled, but it can be enabled here for both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Coming back from there, traffic meter, so you can enable that. You can monitor your traffic going in terms of uploads and downloads. Back from there, and you've got support. Now coming over here, you've got a bell icon. If I click on there, just tells you Armor's active and the protection level on there. Coming back from here, and that's all the options you have available. You've seen for yourself in terms of setup, it's very easy to set up. Next, let's test out signal strength performance. So you can see at the moment it's showing amazing because I'm right next to it literally. But if I walk away now, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk to the back of my garden. And if you look at the distance there, we're probably saying about 80 feet from this distance here, where I'm at the top. So if I now start walking away, You just keep an eye on that signal strength meter. You can see it's slowly going down. So I'm one floor down now. And now it's going to okay. So I'm 2 floors down nearly. So you go 2 floors down. If I now walk out of the house, let's keep going. You can see it's dropped now. It's still showing okay. And there you go, still showing okay. So in between not good and okay. If I look up, that's where the router is. Coming down. There you go. So that's pretty good. Now looking at the Wi-Fi on my phone now, you can see there's literally just 1 bar there. Now coming over to YouTube, got a video here. If I now play it, and let's check the quality on here. It's at 4K. Maximize that. And let's see how it does at this distance. Here you go, 1 bar. And performance is pretty good. And if I now point out just to show, I'm still around the same location right at the back. So approximately 90 to 100 feet, I guess, away from the router. And there you go, 4K YouTube video being streamed and no issues at all with it. You can see no buffering, no lag on there, just runs smoothly along. Let's perform a speed test from the back of the garden to see what the performance is like on the internet. So if I click go on here, there you go. Performance wise, download is 72.4 megabits per second and upload is 18.5 megabits per second. So still very similar. So you're not really losing hardly anything with this. Next, just to show the router in action with a local NAS server. So I've got my Synology NAS server just over here. And it's plugged in directly into the router. Now coming over to my Android phone, I've mapped a drive to the NAS server and there's a share on there called Team Geek Street. If I go in there, we've got an MP4 file which is 5.27 gig in size. So if I copy that, and now we go to the local storage on my phone. And now if we hit paste, there you go, super fast transfer rate. You can see for yourself, 38 megabits per second. And it's saying time remaining 2 minutes. So that's pretty quick. Let's see it complete. There you go, that's copied across. Just over 2 minutes to copy that across. Now I'm back in my garden. Let's try the same test again. So if I copy the video here and we paste it locally onto my mobile, there you go. So getting about 12 megabits per second. So it's saying 6 minutes to complete. There you go, copied across. We got about 17 to 18 megabits per second transfer rate. So you can see the difference, still transferring at a reasonable speed. What I've now done for the next test, I've connected to my Netgear Orbi and I've disconnected the 2 satellite speakers. So the mesh network's no longer valid. So the main router is in the same location and you can see now there's barely a signal in this same location. And now coming back, and in YouTube, if I try to do a search, it doesn't even get a signal here. So you can see for yourself how strong the signal is coming from the Nighthawk. As a comparison, let me perform the same test of copying a file from the NAS server, but this time via my Netgear Orbi, which I'm currently using. So if I drop this down just to show I'm connected to the Orbi there. Now if I select the file, click copy and go to my local storage on my phone and I click paste. So performance is good locally as well. So you've got to be pretty close to the device to get this sort of performance on there. But you can see for yourself, even on the Orbi, it's good. So there you go, the copy's completed, performance is good, only because literally I'm quite close to the router here. Now, just to note, you've seen for yourself, performance at a distance with the Nighthawk is much more superior. With the 8 antennas, obviously the range is much further. We can stream easily 4K content from YouTube, transfer files as well easily, whereas on the Orbi, there was a limitation in range. Now the device has two interesting options. The first one being aggregate, so link aggregation. This is where you can aggregate two Ethernet ports together to provide fault tolerance. So if one port fails or one network card in your server, for example, fails, you've got the other one to fail back on. The other one is the fact you can aggregate the links so you have the increased bandwidth using both ports. So throughput using that method will be much faster, and that's configured via the web interface on the device. The next one is the multi-gig Ethernet port. Now that's an interesting port to have on here, only because you can use it as a standard port, so you can just plug in your laptop and use it directly off there, and it actually supports multiple speeds, so 100 megabits per second, 1 gigabit per second, 2.5 gigabits per second and 5 gigabits per second. Now the reason for this port is, so if you had devices like a network switch or a NAS server which had connectivity higher than 1 gigabit, this will allow you to connect it up to the device and make better use of performance from the device, so you get better throughput from there. Nothing in addition to configure for this, you literally just plug in and away you go. But a little bit different from a standard router, the fact you have that sort of option available, and it's nice they've put that on there. Next thing worth showing is the LED light. You can see the lights on the device at the moment, and now if I turn them off, you can see all the lights have turned off except for the power indicator there. Now looking on the top of the router there, you've got two buttons. So if I zoom in, button at the top here is your WPS button, and the button below there is just to enable you to turn the Wi-Fi on and off. So if I hold on to it for 2 seconds, there you go, it will turn off, indicating Wi-Fi is completely shut down. And if I hold on to it now for about 2 seconds, let go of that, it comes back on again. It's a nice bit of functionality. You can just have a cut switch, just turn off your Wi-Fi quite easily. Next, let me show how to get voice control functionality working with the Google Home. So I've got my Google Home Mini set up over here. If I go to the Nighthawk app first, click on the home icon, settings, anywhere access. So you just need to enable that first of all. Next, we need to link in our Netgear account with the Google device. So if I initiate voice control on my Android device, talk to Netgear.
Before you can use Netgear, I need to link your Netgear account to Google.
Yes to that. There you go. We've got a dialog up here. So let me enter in my details now. Let me click sign in, and we need to click allow to allow access.
Great. Your Netgear account is now linked to Google. Let's get Netgear. The Netgear app helps you configure your Netgear router or Orbi Wi-Fi system. Here are some things you can ask for. Turn on the guest network. Turn off the guest network. Reboot the router. What are my Wi-Fi settings? What is my guest network password? To close the session, say, close. What would you like me to do?
So there you go, it's linked in now, and you can see the different options you have available on here. So if I unmute my Google device,
the microphone is back on.
I can say, turn on guest network.
Okay, for that, you might want to talk to Netgear. Want to give them a try?
Yes.
Here's Netgear. I will enable the guest network Netgear guest and email you the guest Wi-Fi credentials. Do you want to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, I will enable your guest network.
Okay, so I've received an email and it says your guest network is enabled. The Wi-Fi network is Netgear guest. Your Wi-Fi network does not have a password. Let's test out some other commands. So you can say, ask Netgear, what are my Wi-Fi settings?
I will send you an email with your Wi-Fi settings.
Ask Netgear, what is my guest network password?
Your guest network does not have a password.
There you go, some cool functionality available here via voice control. And again, the way it's working off your own voice. So it identifies with your voice and then it does the action involved. If you had another person trying it, it won't work. So the only thing to note is if the other person had a similar voice to yourself, then they'll be able to do this. But again, if it's sending details over to an email, then obviously it's going to go to your email. Next, let me show the same functionality on the Amazon voice control device. It's coming over to my Android phone. So the thing to note is obviously remote access is enabled, and the same applies for the Amazon device. So if I go to the Amazon app here, go to more, skills and games, and we search for Netgear, there's the skill there. If I enable that for use, next I need to enter in my credentials. So let me do that off camera. Click sign in, allow access here, and there you go, it's successfully linked now. So now if I unmute my device, I can say, tell Netgear to turn on guest Wi-Fi.
I will enable the guest network Netgear guest and send the network credentials to the Alexa app. Do you want to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, I will enable the guest network.
There you go, as simple as that to get configured on the Amazon device. So commands wise, the same applies for both devices, and an interesting bit of functionality not seen on other routers out there. Can be useful. Obviously, you had guests over, you just want to enable it for a little while. You can just say the command out rather than messing around with the app. And once they're gone, you can just disable it again. So there you go, excellent bit of functionality here. Okay, so you've seen the unboxing and setup of this Netgear Nighthawk AX12 Wi-Fi 6 router. Very simple to set up and configure. I use the Android app to get this set up. Just a few steps and you're ready to go with this. Performance wise, very impressive. Was curious what it was like to have a Wi-Fi 6 router, and I don't think it fails to disappoint. Signal strength wise, it's pretty impressive. The fact you've got 8 antennas, so 4 on each side. Range is pretty good as well. So I was at about 90 to 100 feet away from this, and I was getting 1 bar, and even with that, I was getting good performance. I was able to easily stream a 4K video from YouTube without any sort of buffering or lag on there. I've compared it with my Netgear Orbi, which I'm currently using, and you saw for yourself, performance is much better. Interesting bit of functionality on this one, the fact it has the multi-gig Ethernet LAN port, and the fact you've got the ability to aggregate 2 of the ports together to provide additional throughput between 2 devices. Local performance with the router is really good, but you have to keep in mind that the performance you have with your service provider, your internet service provider, is quite key here. So as long as you've got high bandwidth there, so high download rates and high upload rates, it's going to be pretty good. If you didn't, and you had a lot of people on your Wi-Fi network, it's going to suffer, and you're not really going to gain anything by getting this other than a better range on this. If you had a local NAS server and you were looking for improved Wi-Fi performance speeds, then this is an ideal solution for that. Obviously, with the faster technology here, you'll get better transfer rates locally. So there you go, I hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details in the description below, including purchasing links. Hang around for the end cards, I'll have some more Wi-Fi routers, so check them out. Hit the like button if you've liked this video. Drop me a comment, let me know what you thought of this router. If you haven't liked it, let me know why you haven't liked it. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one. Feet